Hey friends, it's Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me in my craft room today. I'm so grateful to have you here, especially because I am celebrating with Trinity Stamps today for their 5th birthday. So exciting. I'm also super glad to announce that I'm actually joining the Trinity Stamps creative team. So you'll be seeing some of my projects and especially a video or two over on their social media and YouTube channel. So really excited to be celebrating a lot today. I have a bunch of the new goodies. Now, they do obviously come in the beautiful packaging that Trinity Stamps packages all of their products in, but I do get them a little early, so sometimes I don't have the exact packaging. But these are a look at all of the products I'm going to be using today, and the pink sparkle spots, these are what are going to inspire today's project. I just fell in love with those and thought it would be so fun to create a super pink and shiny and fun card. So I'm going to start with some hot foiling. I'm grabbing this kind of corally pink color from Spellbinders. This is more of a satin pastel hot foil. And I'm going to go ahead and foil all of these ribbon curls. They're so cute. And I did try to heat foil them all at the same time. So I had a little bit of overfoiling because of the way they sat on my glimmer machine, but no worries. I have a sand eraser and I'm going to take off any of that excess foil we see here. And there's also a coordinating die set. So you can not only foil the curls, you can die cut around them, and you can die cut the curls themselves. This cut and foil set is definitely a must need for you if you love making birthday cards as much as I do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these little ribbon curls out, and then I'm going to grab my sand eraser and get in there, and sorry for the little bit of shaking here, but I'm getting in there and trying to remove that excess foil, and it looks great after. You can't even tell that I had a little bit of overfoiling. So now that I have those done, I'm going to move on to my background. So I'm going to do some ink blending and some stencil paste, and that's going to need some time to dry. So for my background, I'm using the brand new Stars and Sprinkles stencil set. Now this is a 4-piece layering stencil set, which is so cool. I'm just loving layering stencils. And what's great about this is that you don't need to use all 4 to create an amazing background. Individually, they make a really cool design. But of course, we're going to use all 4. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick the one I like best for the stencil paste, and that's the one I'm going to do last. So I'm going to do all of my ink blending with Distress Oxides first. I'm going to start with taping down my 6x6 sheet or piece of white cardstock down to my grid mat. I'm going to use those lines to make sure it's nice and centered, and just using some repositional tape to just get the edges of my paper so that way it doesn't move and I can always line up my stencils very easily. And I use my strong magnets, this is Glassboard Studios, to keep my stencil in place. So I'm starting off with Tattered Rose, that's the lightest color, and I'm just going to ink blend through one of my stencils. Then I'm going to replace it with the second one, and I brought in Saltwater Taffy to darken up that pink color that I'm going for. And then the third stencil, I'm using Worn Lipstick, which is probably one of my favorite pinks ever. It's a great Distress Oxide color. And here you can see what it looks like with just those 3 layers. But I'm going to add that 4th one on, and I'm using the Rosy Cheeks Lunar Paste from Simon Hurley and Ranger Ink. And I'm just going to fill in those little last bits of confetti through this final stencil. And of course, if you've been here before, you know I love a good stencil reveal. So let's take a look at how this background turned out. I love the mix of all of these different pinks. It definitely has like a rose gold pink vibe, which is what I think my vibe is. So very happy with how it turned out. So now we're going to move on to die cutting. There's so many new fabulous birthday and celebration dies. This one is the Banner Builder die set, and I'm just going to use this kind of twisted looking one. It kind of looks like crepe paper kind of banner pieces, and I cut 3 of those out of some shimmery pink cardstock. And then now I'm jumping over to the BirthYAY balloon die set, which is so fun. And these look like those big giant balloons that you can fill with confetti and are just so pretty. You see them a lot at like fancy birthday parties and weddings. I think I even had a couple at my wedding if I remember correctly. So I am die cutting the different pieces out of these different shades of pink, and my balloon itself, so the not the outline die, but the balloon itself die, I'm cutting out of this cool vellum paper that I have in my stash. It has like some cool pink like look to it. It's from a Your Paper Insider box, the first one, I believe. And I'm using that because it's kind of see-through, kind of not, and I think it's perfect for balloons. So I've die cut all of the pieces. I have my little ribbon, my tassels. My balloons are going to be pink and pretty, and I'm going to glue them together. I'm going to show you how I assembled one of them because it's the exact same process for both, and we're here for a hop and I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm just adding glue behind my dark pink balloon outline, and I did that because I wanted to be able to glue my balloon down to my card base, and having that thicker outline other than just the balloon itself, which you can also do, hides my glue a little better than if I just were to glue behind vellum. So I have those two layers of my balloon. I'm gluing the two different little tassel pieces together. I did one out of a light pink cardstock, one out of a dark pink cardstock, and then I also glued my little tie ribbon out of that same dark color, so that way it kind of blends in with the balloon a little bit, and it just looks like you've, tied a little ribbon to close up your balloon and to hang your cute little tassels from. It's a really cool die set, and I can see myself making a ton of balloon birthday cards. It's so fun. And finally, I'm going to be doing some stamping and a tiny bit of coloring with this Party Snake stamp set. So, so cute. I absolutely love this snake. And I'm actually coloring it to be inspired by those cute little snakes that you see. Not that, there's very many cute snakes, but you know what I mean. Those cute little pink, pale pink snakes that look like they're smiling at you all the time. One of those guys. So I will zoom in a little bit so you can see which Oh Hoo Hoo art markers I'm going to use, but I'm going to stamp my little snaky in some black ink, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it onto some alcohol marker friendly cardstock. And again, these are alcohol marker friendly inks. And I also stamped my sentiment in some pink ink that I thought matched pretty well with the colors that I have on my card so far. So here I'm adding in R050. I zoomed in, so I'm sorry if the number and letters are kind of hard to see. I'm going to do my best to say them so that way you know what they are. And I'm using that as the darker shade of the two colors. And this is E030, and I'm going to fill in the rest of my snake. Very simple coloring, two colors. He's so skinny and tiny, so you only need two. Now for the balloons and the party hat, I'm going to go a little deeper in the pink colors to match the rest of the colors I chose in my cardstock. And this is RV330. I'm using it to be the darkest part of my balloons, and I'm not going to the very edge because I want my balloons to kind of have a clear glow through it. And then my midtone was RV320, and finally my lightest color is RV300, and I'm just coloring around the edge to be the very light part of the balloons. I have R22 as my cheeks, and then I'm grabbing a white gel pen to add in my little highlights that I love to add, trying to think about where my light source is, which I'm envisioning is the front of the card, so the light is looking at to my balloons and snakes, so it doesn't really matter too much where my highlights are going to go. I'm going to go ahead and die cut out my party snake and my sentiment with the coordinating dies. I love a good sentiment die, especially that bubble cut look around. It makes me so happy. And we're going to start assembling the card. So my background was dry, and I die cut it with the largest A2 from the set A die set, and that fits perfectly on my top folding A2 card. So I'm just going to glue that right down. Now when I folded my card, I didn't do a exact lineup of midway between the two sides, so exactly at 5.5. So I do have a little bit of my card sticking out on the bottom. So I'm just going to use some large scissors to trim that off, and now you'll never know, and it looks perfectly A2 sized. I also made sure to use my scoring tool to make sure I had a really nice crease on my card base. So I'm going to go through and just kind of make a dry run of how I'm going to glue down all of my elements, like my balloons, my ribbon curls, all of my party supplies, and my cute little snake. And once I have that kind of figured out in my head, now I'm going to start gluing everything together. So I'm going to glue a lot to the card base itself. I'm not going to pop up very much, but I'm still going to create some dimension of how I organize, or I guess you could say glue down each of my little elements here. So I started with one of my banners across the card. I glued a little ribbon curl towards the top. And now I'm gluing my balloon to one of my ribbon curls so it looks like it's the string for the balloon. And I'm adding glue just behind that edge piece of my balloon as well as down the ribbon curl. And I'm gluing that to overlap in front of that back banner. So it looks like that banner is further away. And then I have my balloon. And then I glued another banner. So now it looks like that balloon is in between the two, right? I'm creating a little bit of perspective on my card without having to use too much dimension or pop-ups. So I glued the final banner down, and here I am gluing down the balloon. And so you can tell that balloon is in the front because of the way it's layered, and it creates just a look of dimension without, having to add a ton of foam adhesive to your card. But don't get me wrong, I love my foam adhesive, so I'm still going to pop up my stamped images and my sentiment after I finish trimming off all those excess pieces from the front of my card. So now that my background is done, all my die cuts are added, let's go ahead and add our party snake and our sentiment. I'm just going to use some foam adhesive strips, and I'm going to peel off the release paper from both sides so that way I can kind of swoop it around on the back side of my snake, and that just gives me the flexibility to be able to curve that foam adhesive, and then I can apply it to my card base. I'm going to add a few more foam pieces behind the balloons and the head of my snake so there's a lot of good stability. And I glued him right in front of that front balloon like he's floating as well. This stamp set's just so adorable. And then another foam adhesive behind my celebrations with a lot of S's sentiment, and I'm going to glue that right beneath my snake. Of course, I've got to add some bling final touches, and just like I said earlier in the video, the pink sparkle spots are just giving me all of the happy feels. So I'm going to just use my jewel picker tool, and I'm going to place a few all over the card, kind of going from the top left down to the bottom right to create, that same flow that my balloons are giving the card. And then I'm just going to pick them up, use some glue, and put them right back down. And when the glue dries, they'll be right, secure in place. And I also put a few of those shimmer stars, a flat confetti mix as well, just to add in a little bit more super shine because they're so shiny and so pretty in person. Once those are all dry, I have my finished card. I love to look at the sparkle and shine that all these elements give off, and it is so pink and so cute, and I'm so excited to share this with you. I hope you have so much fun on the hop. You can find everything I use down below in my description, as well as information on what to do to be able to enjoy today's hop. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, I sure hope you'll click that like button and subscribe and come back for more. Bye!